Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here and welcome back to another video for Blue Protocol. And today I want to take a deeper dive into the skill system and actually take a look at the skill trees, talk about how the abilities work, and just in general give you a better idea as to how you will build and play your characters in this game. If you guys saw the videos we did recently, I gave you a brief overview to the 4 currently known classes, and of course we also took a look at character creation. But recently there was another live stream. In fact, the development team have been doing these sort of like weekly live streams, and in the most recent one they actually took a look at the skill trees, showed us how the abilities worked. In fact, there was also another stream that followed that one, and of course I'll do another video on that a little bit later on. But for the time being, I want to focus on the last stream they did, because that one gave us a better look at the skill system and kind of gives you an idea as to just how much customization you'll have for your characters. I also want to give a quick shout out to the guys over at Blue Protocol Database. They are compiling a ton of information, and if any of you guys want to learn more about the game and want to sort of, understand some stuff in English, then head over there. I will link the database down below. You can check it out. They've even done like a little sort of translation guide for some of the UI, so if you happen to get into the beta next month, then that might be handy for you. But anyway, let's turn our attention to the skills. So for the purposes of this, they largely speaking focused on the Aegis fighter, but the principle will apply the same to everything. If you jump into the menu, you can of course see this is your typical character menu. You of course see your character at the beginning, you have your equipped weapon, you have all your different stats, your level, all that kind of stuff like that. But if we then jump over and take a look at the skill tree, this is where you get an idea as to how some of the customization stuff will work. Now, obviously there's a lot of stuff on screen right now, but to break it down, you have different columns. So on the far left, this of course ties to your left click and your right click abilities. Keep in mind, any of these ones that kind of work in like a little tree, you can upgrade these and improve these as you level up. You get skill points, you spend them. So the far left column basically links to your standard left click and right click abilities. These are just your bog standard attacks that you will of course work in between your special abilities. The next 4 columns are your specials, some of which we spoke about in the class video. You then have a column for your ultimate ability. Now, all classes currently only have one ultimate, but the fact there's a column there probably implies that at some point in the future they may well add more of them. And then after that, you have your stat modifiers for, of course, further improving your character based on the way that you want to play. Now, one thing worth noting is, of course, if we jump over and take a look at, say, a screenshot of the general game UI. I'm using this as a screenshot because when they're actually talking in the stream, they are rather inconveniently covering it with their sort of green screen placement. But either way, if you take a look at here, at the bottom of the screen, you have this panel. Now, this is, of course, where your skills go, and in general gameplay, you basically have 4 different skill slots that you can then customize. You then, of course, have your healing ability, you have your ultimate ability. These 2 slots are reserved for the Imagine, which I'll do a video on a little bit later. That, of course, it kind of links into this, but I want to speak about it in a separate video because it is a rather interesting system in itself, so stay tuned for that one. And then, of course, on the far right, you have your standard left-click and right-click abilities. Now, when it comes to your specials, you have 4 options here, and each of these slots can be one of 2 different skills. So if we jump back to the skill tree, you can see in, say, the second column, this is 2 different skills. You have the top one and you have the bottom one. And basically in that slot, you can pick between one of these 2 options. So you can't go and say stack column 1 twice and then column 2 twice. You have to basically pick one skill from each of the columns, and of course those skills will differ based again on how you want to play. So as you progress, you will of course spend your skill points and you will upgrade these skills. So you can see the top one goes level 1, level 2, level 3, and the bottom one similarly goes level 1, level 2, level 3. Once you've upgraded that, you get to the point where you can also unlock skill modifiers, which are additional things that you can equip to basically modify how those skills behave. Now, it's important to note that you can only actually equip 3 skill modifiers. You also can't equip 2 from the same column, so you couldn't put like alpha and beta onto one skill to make it like a super skill. You basically have to choose 3 of your 4 skills that you want to augment or modify, and then of course the 4th one will just be base. So, this is of course where you're gonna have to pick and choose. You can't just upgrade everything to the max. You are of course gonna have to lean into what you like the most, but effectively the way you can see this is that for each of the 4 slots you have, each of the 4 skill slots you have, you basically have 2 different options. I mean, currently, right? This may well be expanding later on. Bear in mind, this is still in beta. They may well be adding a lot more to this, but as it currently stands, there are 2 different options per slot, and you can then pick and choose what you want to go in there. So of course you can mix and match that. In fact, if we then jump over to the other stat screen, you can of course see this is like a summary of what you currently have equipped. And as mentioned, you can see here you have the 4 skills, you have the 3 ability modifiers, and then of course when you go into gameplay, you also have your ultimate ability. So that's kind of how it works, sort of very top level. If you then jump over and take a look look at the far right side of the skill tree, this is the stats modifier I spoke about. This is basically broken into 3 core sections. You have the kind of top left corner, which is basically for like utility boost, things like stamina, dodge distance, or revival speed. You then have the section below that, which is more so for like ultimate and class resource enhancements. And you then have the far right section, the sort of bigger, broader section or taller section, which is like attribute enhancements. So that's kind of effectively how you'll then spend your points. It's also worth noting that, you know, while this is like a skill tree you have to spend points into, there will be like a respec system in game. You can get a ticket from like some kind of vendor and you can then respec. So, you know, you're not going to be locked into this indefinitely, but this is basically how you're going to be investing into your character. Now, again, as mentioned, left mouse button and right mouse button are basically your auto attacks and your alternative attacks. Your special abilities are mapped to Q, E, R, and C. I mean, keep in mind, this is a PC game, at least for the time being, so you could obviously remap this, but by default, Q, E, R, and C, you can of course see that also depicted down below the icon, so you have all of that, you know, very readily visible. You then have tab for your ultimate skill, and 1 and 2 for your imagine skills as well. So that is basically how the tray layout will go. Keep in mind, because this is much more action focused, this isn't your conventional, say, Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft, where you have a tray filling your screen with like every single possible ability you could ever imagine, because this is much more about, you know, having the condensed element, because it's, you know, action RPG, right? It is still MMO, but it's not your kind of conventional MMO, it's more so like action led, so definitely a lot more about movement, about combat, so it's not about giving you a million abilities, it's more about picking a few that you can use in your rotation amidst all of your action combat, and makes for a pretty exciting flow. So that is kind of top level, a quick summary on how the skill system works. Of course, keep in mind this will apply to the 4 different classes. We are of course looking at the Aegis Fighter here, but this is principally what you have to choose from. So you have 4 different skill slots. Each of those skill slots can be customized with one of 2 different skills. Once you fully upgrade those skills, you can then modify them. Each of the kind of max upgraded versions has like 2 different modifications, an alpha and a beta one, which you can choose depending on, you know, what you want the skill to do. And from those 4 skills, you can choose to modify a total of 3 of them. So that is kind of on the customization front as much as we've seen so far. Again, there could be more stuff to discover later on, and of course there is the Imagine stuff that I will still speak about in a separate video, so there's definitely a lot of things to do, a lot of things to look forward to, but that is principally how the skill system works. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully that kind of shed some light on perhaps how some of the character customization is going to work, how the sort of skill system is going to work. If you have any questions, by all means let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to keep it locked because, you know, I want to be covering all the news as they keep dropping new information, trying to sort of talk about different aspects of the game, so that then when the beta drops next month, hopefully some of us get in, hopefully we get a chance to play, and then hopefully I can bring you even more gameplay. But for the time being, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.